PayPal payment system, the end-to-end flow of the PayPal payment system, and how we are integrating the PayPal system. So these are the contents of today's presentation. So we will discuss about the payment system, what is meant by the payment system, what are the key components, and also we will discuss about the PayPal functional and technical integration overview. What are the functional requirements? Also, we will discuss pay in deposit, self checkout flow, payment system overview, the payment domain and architecture, the PayPal checkout flow, end-to-end payment flow. So how the PayPal is working, the end-to-end flow also we will see today. Also we will discuss about the what are the REST standard for the implementation of APIs, checkout integration with PayPal, and API analysis by using the browser, curl command, and by using the Postman tool. So lastly, we will make a API call on a Postman. So these are the today's topic contents. Now one by one we will discuss. First we will see what is meant by the payment system. So now first of all, before going to the integration part, that API call, first we will understand what is meant by the payment system. So the payment system, so we are designing a payment system for an e-commerce application. Suppose we are considering the one of the application that is a e-commerce. We are designing the payment system for the e-commerce client. So whatever we are designing, that payment system must be a reliable, scalable and flexible payment system is essential. So the payment gateway is a service that processes the online payment. See, we are using various online payments. So that is the payment gateway is a service which processes the online payments. It enables the merchants to accept the credit cards and other form of electronic payments securely over the internet. So the popular payment gateways, which includes the PayPal, Stripe and Square. In this project, we are discussing about the PayPal system. Now, we will discuss about what are the key components which are associated with the payment system. Assume again here I am writing, assume we are building a payment backend system for an e-commerce application. So in this project we are focusing on the backend process. So the backend for an e-commerce application, like if we consider the Amazon.com. When a customer places an order, suppose consider a customer which is on a checkout page. He want to do the payment. So this Amazon.com, the payment system which handles everything related to money movement. So the payment system should support all these options in a real life, like it accept the cards and also it accept the alternate payment mode. That alternate payment mode is short form, it is called as a APM. So that alternate payment mode in our project we are using a PayPal. Also there is a Stripe is there. For card processing, we generally tend to use the third payment processors. Due to extremely high security and compliance requirements, we do not store card numbers directly in our system. Suppose the Amazon on Amazon customer want to make a payment, so he is on a checkout page, so he want to do the payment. So directly the e-commerce system is not handling those payment process. He has given that processing system to the third party. Also that third party is directly not communicating with the e-commerce. In between, we are designing the payment system to handle all this procedure. When the customer is on a e-commerce page, he want to do the payment. So then that customer calls the payment system. Then the payment system calls to the that third party payment provider service. We will discuss the entire flow in our upcoming slides. So just you understood. So the third party payment system which will handle all the payments due to that process is complex. So many security issues are there. That's why directly the e-commerce client is hand over to the third party. So we rely on a payment processor to handle the sensitive credit card data. Any company which accepts and stores a process direct credit card numbers has to a payment card industry data security standard. So whoever which is handling the third that payment processing, which is that is a payment card industry data security standards. So it follow the payment card industry data security standards. Again, we will continue with the payment system key points. The payment method. So whatever we are that payment method is alternate payment method and cards are available. Alternate payment method APM and card, that debit card, credit card, whatever we are using. And APM means we are integrating with the third party payment processor, that is like a PayPal or a Stripe. Then payment service provider PSP. PSP is the long form is payment service provider. The Trustly, PayPal, Stripe. Payment type. So the what is the payment type? Same. One time payment, refund, or a subscription. So these are the types of payment. We may use the one time payment or a monthly subscription is also available, and the refund. Hosted page. Now we will understand what is meant by the hosted page. The payment page provided by a PSP.com. It's the third party provider who on which the e-commerce client is redirect on that page, and on that page when the customer completes the payment process, that is called as a hosted page. So in the definition, the payment page provided by the PSP.com application redirects the customer to that hosted page when they complete their transaction and would return back to the e-commerce website. That is called as a hosted page. Now we will understand what are the functional requirements related to this payment process. So the functional requirements, if you observe in this diagram, so if you observe, buyer is there, e-commerce website, and the seller is there. So now we will understand what is the exact flow of this. So to build any payment system, a pay in, a deposit, sell, or a checkout flow. So the names they are given as a, it is a pay in or a deposit or a sell or a checkout flow. So money moves from the end customer account to the payment system account. See, so the money whenever the customer want to buy any product, so the customer want to make a payment, that is called as a pay in, or that is called as a deposit or a sale or a checkout flow. So then the money is moved from the end customer account to the payment system account on behalf of seller. So the money is moving from the buyer account to the payment system account in this flow. Then pay flow, payment system receives the money. So here the payment system receives the money from the customer on behalf of a seller. Then what is meant by the payout flow? So the payout flow is the payment system sends the money, whatever the payment system. So suppose the PayPal or the Stripe, that payment system sends money to the sellers around the world. Suppose if we consider the Amazon.com, on Amazon.com, when the customer want to buy any product, when the customer want to click on the pay button, the customer redirected on a hosted page which is provided by the PayPal. After completing the page, then the money is deducted and the money is with the PayPal system only. Okay, money is PayPal system only. Then when the customer money goes to this account, that is a PayPal account. Then PayPal account informs to the payment system the payment process is completed. Then after only after confirmation the seller will get a back money. Whoever is seller on a Amazon app, he will get the payment payout. That is a payout process. He will get the money back from that third party PayPal system. Whenever the after confirmation of the when the customer receives that product only, in that case the seller will get the money back in his account. But we are processing with paying system only. We are not looking to the payout. Only we are looking to the when the customer is redirect on hosted page, then the money is deducted from the customer account to the PayPal system. We are focusing on the paying system. We are not focusing on the payout system. So this is the our project is limited to paying system only. Now we will understood the exact flow. So here as we discussed, e-commerce client is on a front end app, front end system. When he clicks on a payment button, then the request come to the payment system. So we are the part of the payment system and we are developing the backend system to accept those payments. So when the customer enter the pay button, then the request come to the payment system. Then the payment system send the request to the PayPal. So PayPal system, then the money is deducted from the customer account. Then after that the successful or a failure whatever the payment that response is sent back to the payment system. We are the part of the payment system. Then this payment system sends same response to the e-commerce client or the e-commerce backend server. Then the backend server will send the response back to the front end page of that e-commerce client. So this is the entire flow of the payment system. Now payment system domain and architecture. Now we will understand end-to-end flow. So here if you are observing in this diagram, we are the part of the payment system as we discussed. Then the e-commerce client. So the e-commerce client, suppose we are considering that Amazon app. The Amazon app is directly not making a API call to the third party provider, whatever we are discussed, that PSP PayPal. It is called to the payment system, then the payment system call to the PayPal. So this is the flow. So together that e-commerce client and our payment system is entire, it is called as the merchant. So see here if you are observing the e-commerce platform, we are considering suppose that Amazon, it is having a front end page and backend server. Similarly, here if you are consider, we are the part of the payment system and only we are developing the backend system for this payment processing. So here we are having a, if you are observing, we are having a three microservices in our project. One first is which first service is the that validation service we are designing. Second one is the payment processor service and third one is the payment provider. So we are focusing on the backend system only. Here when e-commerce client is on a front end page, he will make a he want to make a payment, then he will click on a pay button, then that request will come to the backend server of the e-commerce client. Then that backend server is informing, he make a API call to the payment system. Then the payment system for further processing the payment make a through these three microservice, it will make a API call to the PayPal. So then the customer is hosted on the customer is redirect on the hosted page, then customer completes the payment, then whatever the success or a failure, that response is sent back to the PayPal, to the payment system, and through this microservice, three microservice, it will communicate with the backend servers of the e-commerce client. Then the e-commerce of backend server is inform whatever the success or failure payment process to the front end page, and front end page to the e-commerce client, to the customer. So this is the entire flow. So together this e-commerce and payment system, it is called as a merchant page. So here if you are observing, this e-commerce is having a front end and back end, and again I am telling you, we are not developing any front end. In our project we are focusing on the back end system. So whatever we are designing a payment system, it is highly responsible system. You cannot double the process same payment two times. Means we are not allowing in a payment system two time payment. Any kind of failure should not risk the state of the payment system. Should always be a stable, and any network failures or exceptions is allowed, and it is highly secure. So whatever we are designing, it is a highly responsible system because it is directly related to the payment. Now next we will discuss about the entire flow, checkout flow of the PayPal system. So here if you are observing, this is the checkout flow of the PayPal system. Here if you are observing, first we will understand what is meant by a buyer, merchant server, merchant page, PayPal JS SDK, JavaScript SDK, PayPal checkout, and PayPal order API. Then we will see entire flow of the PayPal checkout flow. So here buyer, the end user. So buyer means the end user who want to make a payment, or he want to make a initiate payment. Here we are using a standard, the end user who want to initiate a payment. So this is the buyer. Now the next is given merchant server. What is meant by the merchant server? The server. So server itself, it indicates the backend. So the merchant server, as we discussed, the server here if you are observing the merchant server. Merchant server means the backend server of the e-commerce and the backend of the payments. Together it is called as the merchant server. So in a merchant server we are including the two terms. The server, the backend server of the e-commerce, and the backend of the ours payment processing service. So together that is called as the merchant server. So this is the backend server handling the order and communicating with PayPal APIs. So this merchant server is responsible to communicate the APIs with PayPal system. So server is a backend, you understood. Then merchant page. The merchant page, see as we discuss, if you observe this page, the merchant page means the front end page of the e-commerce, the front end page. So we are not the part of the front end system, only we are developing the backend system. So this merchant page is the front end web page of the merchant, front end web page of the merchant, front end this one of the merchant, that display the PayPal button, which display the PayPal button. That is the merchant page, means a front end page of the e-commerce. Then next is PayPal JS SDK. So it is a PayPal JavaScript SDK library provided by the PayPal. This JavaScript SDK integrated into the merchant web page. So this PayPal Okay, this PayPal JavaScript SDK integrated into the merchant web page to handle the PayPal functionalities. So it is integrated. See, this PayPal JavaScript SDK is integrated into the merchant web page. So what is the merchant web page? Which is associated with the e-commerce. It is integrated with this merchant web page to handle the PayPal functionalities. Now next is PayPal checkout. So the PayPal checkout, the checkout process. So the checkout process which provided by the PayPal system, PayPal for the payments. And the next is PayPal orders API. The backend API of PayPal is used to manage the order and creation and capture. So this is responsible for creation of order and capture the order. So these are the whatever the main functionalities we discussed. Now we will see the entire end-to-end flow one by one. So here if you are observing the buyer, see here the buyer, here he initiates a checkout action. He initiates the checkout action on a merchant page. See here, click a PayPal button, start the checkout. So the buyer initiates the checkout action on the merchant page. See, on a merchant page. So the merchant page means here on a front end page. When a e-commerce client want to buy any product, he is on a front end page. He clicks on a pay button. So buyer initiates a checkout action on a merchant page. So this action it will indicates. Then see here, then the request goes to the backend server. So as you observe, after clicking this, then the request goes to the backend server of the e-commerce page. So here if you observe in this diagram, after clicking, click PayPal button, start the checkout, then the request go to the merchant server, that is on a backend server of the e-commerce. Then the buyer clicks on the PayPal button. So here if you are observing, after this flow goes to here. So then buyer clicks on a PayPal button to proceed with the payment via PayPal. See here if you are, see the PayPal JavaScript library is there, it will provide that button to proceed the payment. The PayPal clicks, see the buyer clicks on the PayPal button here to proceed with the payment via PayPal. So here if you are observing, when a customer is on a merchant page, when he want to make a payment, then that checkout process it will go to the backend server. Then after that, then that see this PayPal JavaScript library is integrated with the uh, front end page of the uh, e-commerce. Then it will display the PayPal button. See here, display the PayPal button. Then the merchant web page has already initiated. See the merchant page is already initiated the PayPal button using the PayPal JavaScript initiate button. So display the PayPal button, then the merchant page initiate the PayPal button. So this is the entire flow, whatever we discuss as in here. When the customer is on a front end page, he want to make a payment, then it will goes to the backend server, and here it will the PayPal JSK JavaScript library is integrated with this front end page. It will display the PayPal pay button. See here, it will display the PayPal pay button. Then the customer initiate the PayPal button. Here this entire flow display in this diagram. Okay, then next, the next is when a web page is already initiated, when the buyer clicks on the PayPal button, see, when the buyer clicks on the PayPal button, an order is created. See here, when a PayPal button, create order callback. See, if you observe here, create order callback. When the buyer clicks on the PayPal button, see, after clicking the PayPal button here, when the buyer clicks on PayPal, an order is created. See here, an order is created using a post request. See here, if you are observing, create order, then this front end is go to the that merchant page. The order is created, create order. See, whenever we are clicking on a front end page, then it will goes to the back end as per the diagram. As per the diagram. So here, when the buyer click on a PayPal button, an order is created by using the post request. See, the create order callback to the merchant page, to a merchant server, then a post request to the PayPal order API. The post request here, if you are /v2/checkout/order. So this API call we are making. When the buyer clicks on the PayPal button, an order is created by using a post request to the PayPal. So we are making a API call. See here, PayPal order API. We are making a API call. So the backend server, the merchant backend server, making a API call to the PayPal order API through the /v2/checkout/order. This is the first API call that payment system backend server is making with the PayPal order API. Then after, if you are observing here, the PayPal order API respond. See, the PayPal order API respond back to the merchant server, which is passed back to the merchant page. This order is created. It is the PayPal order API is informing to the merchant server. Then the order ID is returned. See, if you are observing this merchant server, the order ID is returned to the merchant page. So the merchant server, as we discussed, the merchant server, the backend server of this, see this entire backend server. The merchant server, if order ID, if you are observing, see here, the front end page of e-commerce system is talking with the backend server. After that, the request goes to the, see here, the request goes to the payment server. So here, if you are observing this payment system which makes the API call to the PayPal. So here v2/checkout/order, then the PayPal, the unique ID is generated for this create order. So that order ID is returned back to the merchant server. Then merchant server of our payment system return back to the that order ID to the e-commerce server. Then this e-commerce server, this order ID is given back to the SDK, that front end page. So here it is the flow. That order ID, see here, this merchant server return the order ID to the merchant page, and this merchant page or further order ID is returned to the PayPal library. And here, if you are observing, launch checkout browser pop-up, it will give the pop-up to launch the checkout browser. See, this is the PayPal checkout. Then the customer is login using the username and password. When the pop-up comes, then the customer, this buyer is able to log in using username and password. See here, then the order ID is returned to the merchant page from the merchant server. After getting the order ID, See, after getting the order ID, the PayPal checkout process begins. See here, the PayPal checkout process is begins in a pop-up window. The buyer is asked to log in. So here the buyer is asked to log in PayPal and confirm the payment. Here the now the customer is on that hosted page. We are calling a hosted page. He want to make the payment. During the checkout, see here if you are observing during the checkout, the buyer may update their shipping address. See, shipping address change. He may change the shipping address. So here if you are observing, during the checkout process, the buyer may update their shipping address, or here again if you are on shipping options, the PayPal SDK triggers a callback, and then the PayPal SDK, the SDK library triggers a callback, notify the merchant system. It will notify to the merchant system on a front end page. Then the next, after this, the buyer completes the checkout, means completes the present by confirming the payment details. After adding all the payment detail, here the buyer will completes the payment system. Then next, so here if you are observing, PayPal, see, after completing the checkout process, the PayPal returns on approve callback. See here if you are observing, on approve callback, order is approved, the PayPal checkout completes. So this PayPal SDK library, it will give on approve callback to the merchant page, and here if you are observing, PayPal returns on approve callback the successful approval of the payment by the buyer. Once the order is approved, so once the order is approved, the merchant server, see if you are observing this merchant server, capture the payment by sending a post request. So here if you are observing, on approve callback on a merchant page, then this merchant server capture order. So we are making now here the merchant server making a second API call, post request /v2 /checkout /order order ID, whatever the order ID we are getting. See here we are receiving one order ID. See if you are observing here, in a first API call we are receiving a one unique order ID. That order ID we needed to make the second API call. See here we are placing that order ID /capture. So this second API call the merchant server is making with the PayPal orders. So once the order ID is approved, the merchant server captures the payment by sending a post request, capture request to the PayPal order API. So after capture respect, PayPal API with a successful capture. After successful capture response, confirming that payment has been captured. See, okay, the payment order capture checkout complete. So the order is now considered complete. So the checkout process is successfully completed and the buyer is notified of the successful transaction. So this is the entire flow of the PayPal checkout. So what is the conclusion from this diagram? So the diagram outlines a detailed interaction between, see the diagram, it says a detailed interaction between the buyer, see the buyer interaction between the buyer, merchant server, PayPal checkout, see here, merchant server, merchant page, PayPal JS SDK, PayPal checkout, and PayPal orders API during the PayPal payment process. So the key points includes the, here mostly the key, what are the two key points includes the creation of an order, buyer approval, creation, see the creation of order, buyer approval, and final payment capture. These are the key points of this flow diagram. The process involves multiple callbacks for order changes and confirmation via PayPal's SDK and API. So it needs a confirmation also during this the API calls. So this is the entire checkout flow of the PayPal system. Now then, the next point we will discuss about the PayPal documentation in order to process this checkout flow. We will discuss the entire documentation, whatever it is given by in a PayPal documentation. We will see one by one. Now, the flow explanation as we discuss. See, PayPal functional and technical integration overview. We will now discuss about the technical integration. So, in this project, we are integrating with the third party, that is the PayPal system, that is third party payment provider system. We are the part of the payment system. As we discussed, we are the part of the payment system only. Integrate all the payments into the system. So every third party provider provides a API integration documentation. So every third party provider, it may be a PayPal, Stripe, every third party provider provides the API integration documentation. We need to study the entire that PayPal integration documentation. So API document, what it will provide? It will provide some PDFs, web links, which help to a technical team to build the software and to do the coding according to the API standard. Whatever the API standards provided by the API documentation, based on that API standards, we are designing our system. Then technical team need to understand this API integration documentation so that they can code a PayPal into our system. So after understanding a technical whatever the terms which is given by the PayPal documentation, according to we are building the APIs that PayPal. In this project, we are implementing PayPal payment integration, which is mostly used in Europe and US. That is a payment service provider. Now, we will go through this API documentation which is given by the PayPal. We will study whatever the standards given by the document in order to code in our project. So we will go through the documentation. So in order to see here, see this is the developerpaypal.com. So we need to create an account in a PayPal system. So first of all, I already created the how to the account. We will see here. See, this is the developer page. If you are observing here, this is the after logging, you will get this developer page. So here, if you are observing, getting started. So here it is the overview is given. Overview. So in a PayPal standard checkout, set up the standard payments to present the payment buttons to your payers so they can pay with PayPal, with debit card, credit cards, pay later options, Venmo, and alternative payment methods, that APM we discussed, that is called as the alternative payment. So the PayPal standard checkout, which will through that we are able to pay by using the debit cards, credit cards, other options also given, and by using the APM also. Here if you are observing, so whatever we discussed, this is the hosted page of the payment system, that PayPal system. Now then we will go through the getting started in this. So getting started, how PayPal checkout works. So just we discussed how the PayPal it works. Integrate standard checkout to give your customers payment buttons for a PayPal, Venmo, debit and credit cards. So PayPal JavaScript SDK. So here we discuss it, PayPal JavaScript SDK, which supports how you want to accept the payment on your website. Our SDK means that PayPal SDK handles displaying buttons. Whatever the displaying buttons we on a front page, it will handles for a PayPal and other payment methods. So your customers can pay with whatever method they choose. They can also use a pre-built form to pay directly using credit or a debit card. Again, this JavaScript payload shows up the global window object under the PayPal namespace. So you can access it anywhere in your app to render any component in a JavaScript SDK. So entire flow now just we discuss. So that flow is given here in the getting started page. See how PayPal represents the optional payment methods. Here PayPal is given. Here card, product details, card, checkout session. So here it will show the optional payment methods also. Now then next we will discuss get started with a PayPal REST. So get started with the PayPal REST API. So we will discuss the REST standards, whatever given by the PayPal documentation. So here in this REST APIs, if you observe, get started with PayPal REST APIs. Here we are on this page REST APIs. So the PayPal API uses a REST. So means the PayPal API uses the REST standards. Authenticate with O auth2 access token. So we need a access tokens in order to make the API calls and return HTTP response ports and responses encoded in JSON. Means the whatever the responses given by the this PayPal, it is in a JSON format. You can test US integrations with a PayPal developer account. Next, we will see. So get client ID and the client secret. So PayPal integration. So in order to make a PayPal integration, it needs a client ID and client secret. So for getting this client ID and client secret, so for this client ID and client secret, we need to log in into a developer. See, I already created an account. Here you are getting the client ID and client secret. So API credential. We will see how we will get these API credentials. First, go through the PayPal. Here, sign up. I already created an account. So we are here able to use personal get started. So we are India to get started. So after logging, you are able to create the account in API. After creating the account, so you will get a client ID and a secret key. So here if you are observing, in order to make a API call, we need the client ID and client secret to authenticate the API calls. So a client ID identifies an app. You need a client ID to get the PayPal payment button and standard credit and debit card fields. A client secret authenticates a client ID to call a PayPal APIs. You will exchange your client ID and client secret for access token. Keep this secret safe. So here how to get your client ID and secret. Select the login into a dashboard. So we need to log in into a dashboard and log in and sign up. So whatever the steps you follow, you log in and you will get the in dashboard you will get that client ID. Select the apps and credentials. See, I have selected here apps and credentials. In apps and credential, you will get the client ID and secret. Now your account come with the default application in the REST API section. To create a new project, select the create app. Copy the client ID and secret key for your app. Now then we will get the access token. So to get the access token, so here if you are observing to get the access token, exchange your client ID and client secret to an access token. The access token authenticates your app, and calling the PayPal REST APIs, you call the PayPal auth API in a language. The following examples show you how to get the access taking using curl or a postman. So we are able to use the curl or a postman in order to make the API call. So this is the curl command. So here if you are observing in a curl, so here see API M sandbox paypal.com v1 out token and client ID. It needs a client ID, content type and grant type client credentials. So by using this curl command, we are able to get the access token. So we need the access token in order to make the API call. So as per this documentation, we understood we need to create a one account in this PayPal in a dashboard. After that, we are getting the client ID and client secret, and it will give the access token in order to make the API call. So we will see the further how to get the access token, how to make the API call. See in this diagram as we discussed, we will after getting the access token, we will make a first API call that post request slash v2 slash checkout slash order. After that, then the order ID we will get the order. First we will get the access token, then we will get, we are able to make the API call. After that we will get the order ID. By using this order ID, we are able to make that capture call, that second API call. So entire whatever the API calls we will discuss in a next video. So in this uh, presentation, we will discuss about the Stripe documentation. We understand the Stripe documentation. Then next, the API calls we will make in a next video.